I have started the recording, so thank you everyone who are here, and some more are to join. It is joining now. She's on mute, I think. Yeah, and so that leaves Vasavi, and I hope she'll join in a few minutes. So welcome to the AGM of 2020, and we have an agenda document which we'll follow. It's always the best practice to mute if you're not speaking, but also remember to unmute when you have to speak. And we have allocated just under 1.5 hours for this. So let's try to be time efficient. All extended conversations should be watched out for, but that is not to curb original ideas. That's why we are here. So with this, Vasavi is also here. This meeting is being recorded, like I said, and we are ready to proceed. If we are okay to follow the agenda document, I think it's best to first have Prerna tell us about the flagship project. We can have a strategy discussion for Biblio after we have the updates from Prerna.
Yeah, hi. So I'll give a quick overview of the recent most statistics, which I noted some 10 minutes back. So in total, we have 1,060 posts, and we have on certain posts we have more than 500 visitors. And last year, our focus had been on publishing references on indigenous artists and art content that's published in relation to climate change. And so we have around 60 references on indigenous arts. So the proposal I would like to make today on the board would be one, we can do systemic updates on the website, and secondly, if we could come up with a monthly newsletter sent to our collaborators of what's new on Biblio, what new we've published this month. So maybe some key highlights and a good vibrant kind of a web page or something that we can float around. So just to keep them hooked on to Biblio. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Andrea.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Thank you, Prerna, for the update. Do you think it would be useful to have as an additional a document to the newsletter, and we can perhaps maybe start with this one. For example, you mentioned 60 entries on indigenous people. So would it be possible, Amit and Prerna, to extract those entries and like list them in a PDF? Just, you make a selection like indigenous, then we know we get a web page with all the entries, even if it's just the image with the title, and then extract it as a PDF that we would add like Team of the Year 2020, and we would add as an attachment to the newsletter this document saying here are all the new entries on this topic.
Yeah,
it's very easily possible through our current software.
Should we give it a try for the newsletter in 2 days? It's not too much work.
So can you say that again?
Should we give it a try? Try this for our upcoming newsletter in 2 days, or is it too much work?
No, I think this PDF can be generated fairly quickly if we filter by label and use the visual. The visible web page, convert it to, like you said, if only the image and titles are sufficient. I think technically speaking, it's quite straightforward.
So it would be something like 6 pages, right? I think we have 9-10 entries per page.
Right, and defining a different layout should not be very difficult. I mean to say, if you don't want 6 pages, you want everything in 1 or 2, that's fine.
As thumbnails, for example, like smaller.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, just an idea.
Yeah.
We could add, and I think it would help us also understand what we have, and regularly be aware of the major themes that we are collecting on Biblio.
So Prerna, you mentioned a newsletter to tell internally what's new. So it's like I don't. I don't think we need a web page for that. Like, it's what kind of report? Like, it's like to tell people that Biblio is not static, and this is the incremental work done on Biblio in last month. Like, there's a volume of 1060 entries right now. So if we do 10, 15, and with a certain focus, with a certain theme, with a certain new trial or something, then that becomes a news. Is that what you mean?
I mean to say like a news brief or maybe a short infographic telling our collaborators, not just internally but also externally, on what new is happening on Video, what new we have published. Maybe it's related to a book, a documentary, a web series. What new have we done? What new have we published? So just to keep everyone in the loop of what's getting published on Video among our collaborators internally and externally. Just like a news brief,
Right.
a very precise infographic, if we could prepare something like that. Not very jazzy, but something very basic, easy to read.
Well, to be honest, I think that's the purpose of outreach. And what we are here talking about is a specific per month Biblio post with a certain template or a collage of to talk about the what's new on, like a title which is what's new on Biblio.
But could it be merged with the idea of having this like quarterly highlight, so we could attach that to the newsletter? So I mean, one time it could be thematic, another time it could be the, like you mentioned, the entry that had the most hits, so over
Yes.
500 views. So we could have, I mean, we could plan this quarterly for now. So every time we come out with a newsletter, we also come out with a quarterly highlight, and that would be like one or two pages on something that you, Prerna, can suggest, for example, like the ones you've mentioned now. What do you
Yeah.
think? Is it not like frequent enough? Do you want something more frequent?
I think to start with, we can go on a quarterly basis and then probably evolve into a monthly thing once we have the template floating. And I think it's a good way of managing our themes and our resources on Vibrio. So that way we'll have underlying themes, and it would be easier for us to present it to someone what Vibrio is about, because we have consolidated information in the form of newsletters.
Right.
Okay.
So here, that's great. We are talking not only about the news of Biblio, we're talking about the forward, going forward plan. Let's hear from everybody else about any thoughts they have for future of Biblio. Madhura?
No, I agree with Andrea's plan of attaching it to the existing newsletter, so that at least we are grabbing the existing client attention, existing subscriber attention. I think that's a good idea.
Vasavi, any thoughts for more we can do with Biblio?
I think that's a good idea. Firstly, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Sorry, I was a minute late. You're all very punctual, I must say. Kudos. But I didn't get a chance to say hello. But no, I do agree with Andrea's suggestion that we can have something attached to the newsletter. So yeah,
Right.
that's fine.
And Masi? I'm taking Iti last because I think this is linked to outreach, so we'll have the final closure with that. Masi?
No, no, nothing to
Okay.
no suggestion here.
Right. Iti, how do you think, like, newsletter is already a part of outreach, right? We must remember, everyone. So we are here talking about let's say a repeated part of the newsletter template, which is about Biblio. But and I spoke about a special post on the channels about what's new on Biblio every now and then. So
Yes. I think that'll be good, because then we can also, so the whole idea is to drive traffic to these websites. So just putting that up on the social media channels is going to bring all the followers there, hopefully.
right. Yes, Andrea.
Yeah. Um, so, Amit, you mentioned um, revamp of the newsletter. Is that happening? And could we include this quarterly highlight as an extra, an addenda, which can be? I mean, it doesn't have to be part of the newsletter. I think it should be two separate documents that we can then merge. But I think it would be good to have the quarterly highlights as a something that we can, on a different page that we can send out through our outreach schemes independently.
Right. So maybe I can talk to you about the newsletter changes that are in the offing, and we can proceed to the outreach. So we have a new newsletter template. Unfortunately, again, we are very close to the time. 21st, day after tomorrow is when it is due, and we haven't finalized. So I'm having a call with a graphic designer who is helping us out tonight. And if not on this newsletter, definitely on the next one, we will have like a upgrade of the template. This is also from the feedback that we received on our last newsletter. But that said, yes, Andrea, I'll connect with you on how to integrate with this. Integrate this decision of quarterly updates on Biblio into the newsletter. I think I'll still try to keep it as a section. I think if we give this brief to the graphic designers helping us out, it will be done nicely instead of creating a new page. At the same time, we can the earlier mention that I said is technically very easy. A separate extract of a page is fairly easy. So I think we can have both. I mean to say, for the newsletter purpose, it could still be an integrated thing, single newsletter, while for other purposes it could be a separate leaflet. Iti, would you like to brief us about outreach in general?
Sure. So this year has been quite slow for us because we've had some capacity limitations. But we've basically, with the 3 active channels, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, we've had a regular flow of tweets and posts. For Facebook, Isha and Sujata have been posting off and on, but like through the most part of the year. We have over 6,000 followers there. We haven't had any ads this year, but I'm re-engaging with folks who we know who work at Facebook to get some funds for the ads to get more followers. For next year, we are thinking of starting to experiment with Pixel to see if we can do something with the cookies. We had a plan to do that this year, but that didn't happen, so it's on the agenda for next year. Twitter is again an important channel for us. It's probably the most relevant, especially in the US. We have 35 followers to date, which is not enough, but we've had consistent tweets. Prerna has been helping with that. And we did try to experiment a little with the ad campaigns this year, but with no luck because there are some glitches with how you can assign funds to a campaign, and we couldn't figure out the best way to optimize it because we wanted to test out a couple of strategies. But I think we'll start simple then, probably again next year thing. That we would just start with promoting tweets, and then maybe reach out to Twitter support or something to help us out with coming up with a more sophisticated campaign so we can learn from it. LinkedIn, Ishan is on board. He's managing the LinkedIn channel. We have 70 followers to date, and we've had sporadic posts, but I think I need to revisit the plan there as well to see like what else we can do. We had some ideas before, but I need to re-engage with Ashan to see if we can get a little bit more aggressive there next year. I think one of the issues that we are seeing across the board is just lack of engagement in that we are putting out posts, etc., but there's no feedback loop. So we need to figure out some sort of a plan to encourage that, and of course, like welcome suggestions here. Uh, I think those are the main channels. Newsletter has been we've, we've had like 10 volumes released so far. Amit, I'm guessing like you probably can talk to it better than me, but the 11th one is in the works.
Et, sorry, can I interrupt? I have a question.
Sure, sure.
I know I follow Planthro on LinkedIn, and perhaps Amit, you can answer. The posts don't show up on my feed automatically. I don't know, unless I go to it. I guess there's some algorithm that somehow decides what it has to show and what it doesn't. So I'm not able to like it or, or follow, or forward it on. So because I think it depends, maybe the algo decides, this is not relevant. I don't know how it decides it. Same with Twitter too. The posts don't show up. It only decides on its own what is relevant for me, unless I go and search for planthro and then I read up.
Even though you are following planthro?
Yeah.
That's odd.
I don't know if others have that issue as well, because then maybe we need to make ourselves more visible if that is happening to others too. I don't know.
I'm sorry, at this point I don't have anything to add because I don't know, but I will look into this.
Yeah, me too. So I do see it. No, I do see the posts, and I'm following both channels.
So, for instance, your giving pledge on behalf of your organization, after you texted about it, I went to your LinkedIn and then I found it. But otherwise, it didn't just show up just because I'm following planthro.
Oh, so actually we had an issue with that post because, so apparently if you just have a page on LinkedIn, you can't really share someone else's post. And I think that's what Ishan and I were trying to do. And I think he did that, but it just shows up as a link without any visuals or even any content. So, but that's just a page limitation. Like we can't work around it. But if you're not seeing any posts at all, period, then that's a problem. If you're still following.
Yeah, and LinkedIn, planthro doesn't show up because that's the only platform that I regularly check, and Twitter to some extent, and both don't show up in my.
I think
Yeah.
Iti with Ishan, have a look on how to.
Yeah. And also for Twitter.
Yeah.
So for Twitter, I'm guessing Twitter could be algorithms, but I think we have very few followers, and we need to basically just invest in ads, which we have the approval for. So it's solely on us to figure out how to deploy those funds. But I'm guessing once we increase the number of followers on Twitter, that problem should be solved. But LinkedIn as well, so we'll look into that.
Okay, thanks.
Andrea? Mute.
Yeah, no, I confirm what Vasavi just said. That is, they don't come automatically through, even though I've been following for several months now. So we always have to go and look for. So I don't know how that happens.
Is it both channels for you as well, or?
I don't have Twitter.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Well, so let's look into this issue. Let's say we treat it as a bug priority, and Iti, from what I hear, is that some of this year's pending tasks will be done, like deploy the funds we have already approved, and I think it's a good idea to go back to polling. There was some. I think engagement. We should not get discouraged with less engagement, because if we do, then we get zero. So I think we were making some polls last year, or some opinions, some quizzes and so on, and we had engagement. So I think let's keep with that. Also, I think if Navpreet and Rachna can give us some more credits, I don't think I don't think in terms of absolute number, but yes, still 10,000 followers would be a nice benchmark to showcase. We somewhere reached 6,500 at the middle of this year. We haven't progressed.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so I think regarding newsletter, I think one is readability. We can definitely increase some through finding more peers. A lot of them would. I've recently, as a result of Corona lockdowns, I've gotten into some large WhatsApp groups of people I'm historically know and are very closely connected to from college. I'm sure a lot of them would like us to read more about planthro. So I'm hoping to ramp up some newsletter subscriptions with that. Andrea?
Yeah, there's something we've been doing systematically with Prerna more recently, which has been to reach out when we post something new content on Biblio. Then Prerna is sending out an email systematically to the owner, basically, of the resource. Is that correct, Prerna?
Yeah, but it's not as frequent as it should be. So I need to work on that.
Okay, so that's also a way, I think, to, we have a standard message for that. And of course, maybe we can add in there, if they agree, that we include their email in our newsletter, or even if they don't agree, just tell them, we are including your address on our newsletter, you can unsubscribe if you want, which I think is fine. I don't think we are breaching any privacy policy there, as long as they can withdraw.
Right, noted. Actually, I've been doing that. Every time I hear from Prerna reaching out to a university professor or a book author, this is basically any high-profile post on Biblio. We also write to the author now. Prerna does. And earlier this year, we decided a template, but she customizes every email around that template. I think 70% is a template and 30% is the free flow text. So it's brief, but at the same time, it's effective. It's engagement. So yeah, I've been adding these to the newsletter lists.
Can I make a Can I make a suggestion there? So this communication that happens to the source, is it possible for us to also add the social media links there? Because
they are added. They're there.
Oh, they're added. Okay, good.
They're a part of the template. Vasavi?
Yeah, so and when you reach out to these authors or professors, do you get engagement back from them, replies, or what has been the response?
Prerna?
Yeah, I think acknowledgement comes, but we have not been so frequent like I mentioned earlier. So we haven't had like a raving response coming in from people. But yes, of course, there is acknowledgement. And
so do you, sorry, just to ask that further, do you actually just inform them that, look, we are going to publish it, or do you actually also ask for a bit more engagement from them? Do you mind blah?
Ask them to probably repost what we've published on their network or share it through their internal communication channel. And we also ask them, if they have more relevant information that they could share with us, which we could republish again. So
could we also ask them if they're interested in doing a short, I don't know, this is just for outreach, maybe just to increase the profile, a short Q&A session or something, not every author, but maybe some select authors that we could just record and post it on our website, or ask them to write an opinion piece perhaps. I don't know, Andrea, what do you think? Would authors be willing?
Yes, I think we can definitely include it in the standard message. It may be interesting. You actually, Vasavi, anticipated my next question, because I've been discussing about this with Prerna, and there was a feeling that there wasn't much response. So maybe giving them, some of them may be interested in, proactively contributing something original that doesn't. I think we need to ask for little, so not things that take up too much of that time. And I wanted to ask Prerna, what do you think are the shortcomings? Why do you think we have we don't have enthusiastic engagement in response to our emails?
Maybe those people are just way too high profile for us.
Well, also I think because if you're not asking for any engagement, they won't feel involved. They couldn't be bothered. If I'm the author of a paper and someone says, hey, we are going to put your paper up, do you mind reposting? I'm thinking, okay, whatever, this is just somebody else.
So-
But in fact, if you come back and say, can we do a short talk with you or a Q&A about your topic, then that would get more engagement, perhaps more interest out of me, for instance. I don't know.
I think we should invert the message completely, saying that we'd be interested in talking to you because we have, and then talk about us. And so, yeah. Right now, by the way, Vasavi is after we have already posted that we reach out, which is, I think, a good thing. That we can say that we liked your reference and its relevance to the topic, and we have posted it on our bibliography. And but right at the upfront, if we can ask for a chat sometime, I think that's a good beginning and a very tangible as well as clear cut asking clear cut.
Yeah, I think we could explore that. There's no harm in trying it. And we also often give them stats of how many people have read the post and how widely popular their post has become. So in that way, that kind of interests them that our platform is relevant and it's being widely read. But we can definitely ask them a question or two about the research interest and probably use it for opinions at a later stage.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea actually to. The email we sent is a kind of a hook in the positive sense. So we're trying to get them engaged and giving them a range of possibilities in ways they can engage with us. I think is a good thing. So and we could add to the email, like one way is for them to endorse planthro, so we can keep adding to our list, and this we may not ask to everyone, but maybe only to the higher profiles. Then we can ask them to short contribution to opinions and anything else, meaning we don't need to give them a sense of overload, but that we are open for them to do it if they want. So I think it's good to give them the option and without it being an obligation, basically. I think it's just about how we communicate about it. But I think giving them the option is a win-win. I mean, if they don't. If they do, they get publicity, we get more material. So.
Right. Masi, any thoughts regarding this?
Yeah, I was wondering, considering our interest in trying to advertise ourselves and what we are doing, if you have ever tried to maybe contact one of the universities we are more connected to, and I was thinking, Andrea, especially Cambridge, since it's our university and it's a huge one and it's also a prestigious one. With regard to this, I can say that I received the newsletter from not the newsletter, the actual magazine from them, and I really read it with a lot of interest. And I was thinking that maybe many other people do the same. And if we could somehow reach out to those publishers and have them interview us and give them our recount of our project and what we do and what this means to us, maybe they can publish it and that will give us much more visibility and some visibility, especially with those people with some figures of high caliber in the field, and which in turn would draw much more interest on what we do. So I don't know if you ever tried to contact those people.
So Masi, I think it's a very good idea, and I actually considered it because of course we received the same newsletter, and they explicitly ask. They do exactly what we're planning to do with other people. So they ask alumni to contribute if they want to the newsletter. I'm thinking of the Darwin College newsletter, but maybe the same possibility exists.
The college and the university.
And the university. I think. I think we need to. I think what they're looking for is more of a written contribution rather than an interview. And I think we just need to. Put someone to pull that string and start writing down something that presents planthro and looking at the newsletter. So I think it's a good idea. We just need to have someone to take the lead, basically. I don't know.
So I think here Masi, Andrea, myself, I think it's a good story to say three Darwinians or
Yeah.
have started this organization, and have reached so far. I think it could be a nice, if not an article, at least a small piece in the Darwin newsletter, followed by Cambridge. Who knows?
Yeah. So
So
I would propose, I don't know, Masi, how much time you have, but if you have some time to draft up something based, I mean, you've been reading assiduously this newsletter, so you know better than
sometimes
that also means you have a lot of time.
sometimes it comes in the form of an interview, sometimes in the form of description, like a summary or what. No, I'm not sure which one of the two, whether the Cambridge magazine or the college magazine. I will check it out, and I'll see what format is more.
I think if you have a look and you could draft something and make a proposal, and then we can all add a little stone and try to have it posted through the network.
And I think the story we should create is that like three people from Darwin College have started this organization. I think it's at least in a college newsletter, it's going to find its place. I'm very hopeful.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What is the others people?
I will try to do that in detail.
Madhura, any thoughts? And I would like to proceed to Wiki actually after this.
No, I think it's a good idea. It's really a good idea.
All right. So we have the summary of in this recording as well as individually the plan for outreach. Which and it's good that outreach and biblio actually keep going back to each other. That's the whole idea, rather than work in silos. On Wiki, I have dealt with some thorny issues on technology. First the summary: 135 posts on Wiki, it's live. 150 were logged as relevant Anthropocene posts, and 135 are up right now. And if I work tonight, it could be 150. It's pretty automatic. It's meant to be software assisted. We had some thorny issues in technology in the sense that if we receive a bug, we had to delete the entry and post a new one, which actually meant not a lot of effort, but losing all the comments and the engagement. So suppose a page has 85 views, and we find a major bug in this because it's software assisted. Software picks it up from Wiki and places the first post, after which you developed it further, right? So suppose there's a problem in posting it by the software, you would repost it, but the 85 views are lost. So we have, in last month or so, or last 2 months, we have fixed that problem finally, that the new post is actually an update on the previous rather than deleting the previous and creating a new one. And for this, we are using Blogger APIs version 3 and so on. Overall, Wiki is in a pretty good shape. One of the biggest issues right now is that every post is turning out to be huge in terms of size. I mean to say the entire biblio database with 1060 entries is close to 5 MBs, which is understandable because the images don't have to count images because images are separate, let's say. Wiki should be more because there's more text, but should not be astronomically more. Right now, each wiki post is something like 3.5 MB. Each wiki post. So, and we have some. It's just bad way of coding or something. It doesn't really affect us because it's hosted on Google, and Google puts like so much firepower into presenting the page to people who want it. But in a long run of imagining 10,000 posts, which is not unimaginable for Wiki actually, this is going to be an issue. So, but that said, with this update and the update of each post, as soon as we correct the problem, we can start replacing 3.5 MB posts with 350 KB, which approximately what it should be. No problem. So we don't have any bottleneck right now, and like I said, we have some engagement. We haven't publicized Wiki, but since it has been there for about a year, we had some engagement. And as of now, what we would like is for all of us to go to the Wiki dashboard, just as we have a Biblio dashboard, we have a Wiki dashboard right next to it, actually, and post from Wikipedia the names of topics which are relevant for Anthropocene. So I had listed 150, of which 135 have been posted, and we can safely post 15 a day, 15 a day, and would like to cover the entire, let's say, spectrum of topics on Wikipedia which are relevant for human-planet interaction. So I invite all of you to kind of go to the wiki dashboard in the coming days and post the topics which are already not there, or even if you duplicate them, we have a way to, even if you repeat, we have a way to filter out the unique ones. Andrea?
Yes. Okay, I'm not muted. So, Ami, do you think you could? Because I've been asking myself lately. Where are we with the Anthropocene? The Anthropocene, is it still hot topic? I know they're still discussing on and they should soon reach an agreement on the date. But could you look at through the Google metrics, what the evolution has been since inception of planthro? See whether Anthropocene has been clicked more often or less over the past 3 years. Some trends basically on the Anthropocene on the internet. Is that something that would take up too much time?
No, actually, Google has tools to just give that information out. So I just have to use them. It's like doing a Google search. It will tell you. Yeah. So what's the end goal here? Suppose.
Well, the end goal is to understand whether we are still on track, because the idea, was to be a bit in advance on a topic that would possibly become a trend. But I'm wondering whether, given the pandemics and all the other issues that we've seen on the news over the past year, where is the Anthropocene in all of that? Is it just submerged and disappearing from the radar? And this is also in terms of strategy, whether we should, remain on the Anthropocene or extend to other topics that would help us outreach more easily. So it's just
right. I would tend to think, yes, that the pandemic has taken over. It also shows in the enthusiasm for donation this year. But I don't know how you exactly mean, but I think the organization will focus on Anthropocene as a keyword, sure, but as a subject matter, the human-planet interaction and the climate and sustainable development. So I think yes, what we could do is start using sustainability, for example.
Well, I think if beside Anthropocene, but if we could look at 10 words that we use that are recurrent in our webpage, like sustainability, Anthropocene, climate change, and look on Google, see which ones are more trendy, and then we can use them when we do our tweets as hashtags or ways. I don't know if that's 80, maybe you have some idea there, but trying to boil down to a few key words that we can use as buzzwords to reach out more broadly.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. Also, I just realized that we've just been super hyper focused on tweeting out or posting posts that direct to the Biblio website, and have pretty much not done much with the wiki page. So maybe I'll ask the team to start posting so that there is traffic directed to the wiki page.
Yes, and this is for a reason. I wasn't completely happy with the wiki. They were like I said, thorny issues, but those have been removed. So in the coming days, I'll start reaching out to you to post engagements on wiki as well, and we have a head start because the website has been around for more than a year, and we do have some people like searchability, as well as some people land on it by default. So we won't have to start from zero. But I'll reach out.
So we can do like an introductory post and then try to focus on specific posts on the wiki. And then to Andrea's point, we can, if you have that data available or if it's easy to retrieve the search words, we can always use them as hashtags.
Right. Yeah, no, some of the Google tools also tell you related searches, so I think that will be helpful too. And I can take a lead on this. Yes.
Yeah, I think this is something we can do once or twice a year, maybe, just to make sure that we keep our communication up to date with the trending topics.
I see. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, it's an analytics sort of exercise, and I'll be happy to do it. Yes. Massimiliano, any thoughts immediately? Okay, you're on mute, but we understand. Madhura?
No, I'm good. No comments.
Okay. Vasavi, any strategy for Wiki in the coming year? Any immediate thoughts?
I'm just wondering, is this a good time to talk about the website issues, or should we have that for later?
You mean the corporate website?
No, just our website, planthro website.
Yeah, okay. In a minute. So
Okay.
anything specific to Wiki?
No, I'm okay for now.
Okay. Prerna?
Yeah, I think it's a good way to announce the launch of Wiki on Twitter. And perhaps, and we also include, we do mention Wiki on the emails that we send out to these authors who we publish on Biblio. So we can add Twitter to it.
Yeah.
And maybe perhaps included in the newsletter as well, that these are the newly published articles on Wiki.
Right. You see, Wiki does not have a human editor representative. So, it is somewhere in the background and we don't even, talk about it. But Amit Onkare, to be honest, has done quite good work. He's paid for it, but to be honest, as a token, sometimes work like 6 or 7 times on the same thing, which are not working. He's reached out to his network to find out a solution, and we paid him, to be honest, token. Anyway, I mean to say, I'd like to acknowledge his effort here, as well as I think Wiki will come to the mainstream more than in the last years. I would like to move to opinions and analytics together, if I can. The news on opinions actually is that we've talked about high-profile professors and other people who we try to reach out to, and some people we simply come across. And I have maintained a list. Prerna and I have maintained a list of people who are fit for opinions board. This is a project which is going to be right next to Biblio and Wiki, where people post their original opinions, original interviews, original or republish their essays. Like we have even Andrea on list as a candidate for that. And we think but there are some formats like republishing, interview, as well as original publications on opinions, but single person or a group's opinions rather than a newsy website that that Biblio is, or reference website that Biblio is. This is like people speaking directly to you. The biggest problem personally I have felt is that we don't have an owner. 2 times in the past we have assigned it, and people have agreed to own it, but they are not here. They are not even a part of the organization actively, which is understandable. So I mean to say, whether these people overcommitted or we overestimated their commitment, they are not here. And come next year, I have a very good candidate. His name is Om Prakash Singh, and is a colleague of mine, and I think he is an excellent fit for being the opinions leader. And he's agreed to discuss this. He's agreeable to the idea, but he says he can't commit to anything before January. So in January, I'm going to have a discussion with him, tell him the opinions vision, tell him about rest of planthro, which he knows more or less, but give him, like, say, a close update on who we are and what we are doing. He's very India focused, I must say, but I think that he will extend his range easily. So now, as a third person, like still looking for the owner for opinions, this is the third person we're going to try in January.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
what is the goal of opinions? I mean, we have Biblio,
Right.
we have Wiki. What are we trying to achieve with opinions over and above that?
So here we are talking about like directly. This is not a Biblio is a reference website, and here we are. The format is different. Format of information is different. It's either original or a republication of a longer piece, then right, and it's actually people experts speaking. It's experts speaking rather than their official research or their official book. It's
More like a blog post or
more
something
like
such?
it's a blog space for experts. So with multiple experts, and to each one of them we give a blog space. It's like let's say Paul Krugman writes on New York Times, so it's Paul Krugman's space on New York Times. So that sort of a thing.
So, without sounding, sort of, I'll anyway put it out there. Maybe, Andrea, you could start off with a couple of blogs of your own opinion pieces, just to kickstart it. So, whoever we call next has an idea of what to do, how to go about it. I mean, what they can think of, and just a couple of exemplary writings from you. Because you're the subject matter expertise. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw it out on you because I'm sure you have enough on your plate as is, but I thought, maybe something to think about.
Yeah, thank you. So yes, again, this is something that came back now. Finally, there was an essay that I prepared a couple of years ago. It came out with the academic timeline. 2 years later, is now published. So there is a possibility there to have a short piece extracted from that one, which is focusing on the Anthropocene. Again, the only fear, I mean, I'm happy to do that. It's just that I really want to be careful for planthro not to become a sort of self-celebrating webpage. So that's the only,
I don't think we need to overthink it so much here. It's just a blog space, free for subject matter expertise experts to write about something they're passionate about, as is relevant to Anthropocene. So I don't view it as as being celebratory or any such thing. I think it's perfectly fine to do it.
No, I can definitely prepare something starting from the paper that has been published and extract something more easier to read in half a page. Again, it's not something I can commit on the long term on a regular basis.
Sure.
It's just it doesn't fit in my. There's no more time left. But I'm definitely happy to do to kickstart the exercise with the first entry.
Well, if I can add, yes, we are careful that not many people will be willing to do it on a very long-term basis. They will submit one or two pieces. So we will be, and some others may regularly contribute. But that's the owner's task, right, to manage this. And the plan definitely includes the fact that some people will write once and not write ever again, or 2 times and never again. So that sort of that is definitely within the design. We've been collecting a list of people and their specific works that can be the opinions content, and Andrea's 2 pieces are already there. We have held back only for the reason that Andrea said, that we don't want to be like a self-celebratory website. But okay, we'll let me talk to well, hopefully in January, my chat with the possible owner of opinions will be, or leader of opinions will be positive, and I will kickstart this. Because it will be a shame to not have anybody do the work while somebody is sending us a reference. And and then if somebody is posted, then we are not giving enough attention to publicize it and so on. So that's where, like we did not start LinkedIn for a long time because we didn't have the owner. Now we have Ishan. And we are talking about LinkedIn, and that's.
So I think it's probably a good time. It seems to be a good time. You have the candidate. We have a first piece, so we can give it a try if the candidate is available next month.
We have to tread carefully, not too take carefully, because then we'll not proceed. But as Madhura knows, there was a time when we had a person who committed to be the leader of big opinions. We actually interviewed, and the interview is lost with the person. I'm not even able to kind of get the interview for us. It's supposedly recorded. So we actually recorded an interview with an expert, and suppose and were never able to even publish it or even archive it. So this won't happen again. That was I think we were caught off guard. Yeah. Anyway, Prerna, I think you wanted to say something a while back about this. You're on mute.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on opinions. I wanted to explain to Vasavi what opinions are. So the idea is to explain scientific language or scientific jargons to a wider audience in simpler language, which is more accessible and easily understood by people by citing references from everyday life. So perhaps that could be the brief to the authors, that this is like a blog. It's not like it's a divergence from academic writing that they're used to doing. So that is why the first stage could be a questionnaire that we send out to them, and then sit down to edit it so that it becomes more reader friendly for a wider audience. So in a way, it will increase engagement and also spread awareness to the masses.
Andrea?
I think yes, you can. I think, and I like the idea, and it's something that the more we move towards something like opinion, so involving external people as active contributors of original pieces, we move more towards some sort of a news agency or. So, which is fine. I think it's great. It's more to do with journalism. So I think it could be a nice, nice new area to explore next year.
Right. Okay. So with that, any thoughts, Madhura? You're on mute.
Yeah, interesting. Just that I haven't been able to contribute too much of time on any of these subjects in the past year, even though I had actually made up my mind to do so, but I didn't for some personal reasons. But yeah, I think these are really interesting, and they have generated a lot of interest. Suddenly, it's actually 8:30 p.m., but like I'm excited that there are some new things like wiki as well as opinions. So I'm not committing anything right now, but yeah, sounds good to me.
Right. Okay. Now we'll be in touch, of course, and it will be in view of everybody. Iti, any thoughts? Mute.
Sorry. No, I think this all sounds good. I mean, I don't have anything to contribute per se to opinions, but it'll be good to have some sort of third-party engagement. That'll just add to our credibility.
Well, AT, I think you could contribute to opinions actually at some point, and that could be an analysis like of metrics, like outreach, and something that I was requesting to Amit, like buzzwords of Anthropocene, providing a kind of a cloud of, you could analyze Twitter, for example, or LinkedIn, not our own, but in general, who is talking about what. In terms of topics related to the Anthropocene, for example, I think there is a cat there that you could be contributing.
And if one of the contributors to opinions happens to be, I'm sure like these are people who are looked up to in this field, or like just getting them to tweet for us or like follow us is gonna also get us some more credibility and following on social media channels.
Yeah, I think so far there have been a nice convergence of all the projects, which is always welcome, and I think that will continue. we're definitely not trying to create silos, and I don't think opinions will. Before I ask Massimiliano, Vasavi, do you have any further thoughts?
No, no further thoughts. I think starting off with Andrea would be great, and then if once we get somebody to oversee it, hopefully we can grow it into a nice blog post, different pieces from different experts. That would be quite interesting.
Masi, any thoughts on this? You're on mute.
No, I was just wondering whether this, in this opinion page, we are only posting opinions that we specifically request, or that we find somewhere, that we read about. That do we have to have a direct contact with the owner?
Yes, we have to have a contact with the owner. The search will be from our side, yes, of course, in the beginning, where we not only reach out to people whom we think can contribute, but sometimes we come across an article and we take a permission to republish it. But taking a permission to republish is also, more importantly, an invitation to write more regularly. If they don't agree, then at least we can republish. If we can't do both, then that's the end of that lead. But yes, we have to be connected to those people. Masi, if you come across tools which we have been talking here about, like a word cloud of interesting searches around human-planet interaction, the progression of the term anthropocene. If you come across tools, do throw those references back to us for the rest of us to pick up. Yeah. Okay. So
and I think this gets us to analytics, right, Amit?
Analytics, yes, nicely takes us to analytics. Unfortunately, I am with you in terms of not having something in a leading position to say about analytics. I think analytics is the idea which is the most attractive, most value added to planthro, but we haven't proceeded in 2020.
But do you think, Amit, that could be again a kickoff for analytics? Just a little piece on trends, on keywords around the Anthropocene, human environment interaction. Could that be a first little work to kickstart analytics?
Yes, certainly. But if that does that kickstart analytics as a platform or a sub platform, I'm not sure. But yes, as a exercise.
Well, I think it would be possibly would be a good idea. It could be a good kickstart. Even it could get published afterwards but it could be used afterwards as a kind of an originating moment where you kind of focus, you see emerging some keywords, some topics, you start thinking of topics that you may want to invest on analytics, and then we could start from there and think of how we can apply to some grant to but I think a first step, just to get a benchmark of what analytics should focus on, I don't know, it could be an informal exercise at this stage, but at least with potential to provide some trajectories for the future for analytics.
Actually, I think that's a good idea, Andrea, because instead of being everything to everybody, we can just focus on the specific areas that are of interest to people based on initial, your keyword searches and whatnot, and then maybe offer analytics in those areas. And because we also looked at Tableau and everything, and I think it didn't quite progress beyond that.
Yeah, I think it's a kind of market search. So we look at what the demand is on the topic, and then we come out with something.
We could do that, yeah. But anyways, how should we progress it? I think that's where, as in, initially the idea was with analytics to have this offering to people, whoever wants to look at, I don't know, what happens when farmland becomes dry and what happens to X, Y, Z, different variables, put it all together and what the output is. And we looked at Tableau as a potential, but now I don't think we have progressed it at all, and I don't know how we're going to take it forward. Should we have it at all? I think it's a great idea. I think it's the most attractive idea. But then, if it's just going to be sitting there on the website without doing anything, I don't know.
Well, I think Andrea's exercise does keep a proposed exercise does keep analytics in view. I'm in a way committed to make analytics work. And in a way, I have always envisaged this as nicest, let's say, also commercially speaking, value added as well as like a revenue creating piece of planthro. So let's not shelve it and try to do something, even though I don't have an immediate input beyond that, except commitment.
That's a good start.
Iti?
Yeah, I was just suggesting, so we don't have to make the platform live next year, but what we can do is what Andrea was suggesting, just do some groundwork to figure out all the trending keywords and all of that, like have all of that data available, just have it organized for internal use to help the other channels. We could do that next year, and then the year after we could probably think about how to stand up the platform on its own.
And if we publish some of these entries, Planthro may start to be perceived as an analytics on analytics company or analytics organization. Okay, so
are you saying if that's a good thing or not a good thing?
No, definitely good thing. It's like then it's a headway into then it doesn't surprise anybody if we start posting data and numbers and researches.
Yeah, I think it's an exercise that can serve many purposes, as Ati was pointing. So we can have a direct use. It can serve us to reflect on what we've been doing so far. So we can look back at Biblio, Wiki, all that we published and see whether we are on track or if we are deviating from our original scope, or if the demand is changing. If no one is talking about anthropocene, maybe we need to sit down and ask ourselves how to redirect, or which I don't think is the case. And then it can serve in the midterm to support development of the analytics platform. So I think it's a good exercise to plan for 2021.
Right. Okay, Prerna, anything particular about analytics you'd like to add?
No, I think it's one tool that serves many purposes. So we can obviously use that data to mention it in the emails that we send out to authors, and it will just enhance our credibility and maybe then elicit responses from authors who are going up or rising high or showing great variables on analytics. So it would be helpful for us to increase engagement.
Right. Masi, any thoughts? Analytics?
No, at the moment. Thanks.
Okay. Madhura?
I think I like Iti's idea to use the existing resources and publish analytics on our existing in-house resources that we already have through Wiki and Biblio, so that it is linked to a person who's reading the others. And then if it's relevant, one might use that, and that will also help us understand what is being used and what analytics are being picked up. I think that's a good idea.
Right. So I think what is getting established here is that in the coming year we should try to create some analytics picture on our existing platform, so that Planthro has a subject matter at focus, and the approach is analytical not more than, but is also analytical. So that sort of analytical approach should start getting reflected on the existing channels. Okay, so if I may, for the purpose of time, being on time, proceed and talk about Corp. So beginning Vasavi's point about the website, Planthro website. What are the concerns? You are on mute.
So it's not a concern per se, but on the website, when I go to the website, it says platform Anthropocene understanding human-earth interaction. Do you think it's worth just putting a small little explanation about what we do? Just a couple of lines below human-earth interaction, just so people know
Okay.
what it is about.
Right.
Is it worth it? One. And two, when I click on Wiki, it takes me to the Wiki page, but there is no way to go back to the original planthro page from Wiki.
Oh, really? Okay, it's meant to open a new tab, but
Yeah.
I will look into that. Noted.
Yeah. So that and
But it does open a new tab. What do you mean?
You cannot go back, I think I
I
understand.
can't go back to the main planthro page from Wiki.
Yeah, there should be a home.
I think that in each offspring webpage there should be a button where you come back to the first one, even though we know that it stays open on the original tab. But I think if someone opens directly the wiki, they should be able to quickly click and go back and go to the original corporate. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Noted.
And number
Both are
two,
relevant and noted.
Yeah, and number three is this could just be a browser issue, I don't know, but when I open planthro on Safari, it opens it, and after a while the pages become blank, be it wiki, be it biblio, whatever, the pages just become blank.
Really?
I'm trying it on Chrome now, and it seems on Chrome it's okay, so I don't know if it's a browser specific thing, and on Safari it's happened multiple times to me.
Oh, that's bad news. So I think it's served by Google Blogger, so should be that bad. I will look into it Safari specific. On Chrome, I multiple times every day I check it. So I think I would suggest just locally deleting cookies on Safari, planthro specific cookies. If you can search for them like you do, like you can in Chrome, and delete those to reload it, or do it in what you call secret mode or private mode on Safari to see if the behavior persists. Then definitely we need to look into it, and I will. Yeah. But it should be small. We should be able to fix that.
Okay.
Something small. Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. There are some spurious scripts in the corporate page which makes it a slow loading page. So that is also well noted. Please use any means, any method to send technical feedback, website feedback, broken links, whatsoever to me, and it will be. We have a standard way to on GitHub to stack all the tickets and clear them one by one. But more importantly, in terms of corporate strategy. Do you see any major changes, or you have any major changes to propose in the coming year?
Are you asking me, Amit?
Everybody, starting with you.
Okay. I would say, as in one of the topics, as Andrea pointed out, with the new government now in the US, there's more openness to climate-related, environment-related issues, and that's a positive. But also, I think now that I'm a bit more of an optimistic person now than I was at the beginning of the year when all this pandemic started. I think we have vaccines coming through, so hopefully in the next year, people's attention will slowly shift away and move on to other issues, and maybe that's a good time to again re-engage with a lot of the people in terms of fundraising and so on, because this year has been a complete washout so far. So I think hopefully when this pandemic news subsides, we can again start to reach out to people, and in that respect, actually, I was wanting to discuss with you all having a nice little 3-4 line intro that we can just talk to people about. So when they say, "Oh, what nonprofit do you help with?" Instead of saying, "Oh, I work with an environmental nonprofit or platform Anthropocene," and then they go, "What?" So you have to kind of explain it. I think something easy to just reach out to people in 4 or 5 lines when you're talking to them at an event or whatever. just a standardized 4 or 5 lines that all of us can use that gives the message and yet is not so wordy that we lose people. That's one. And two, I was going to propose, every time you look at anything for investment purposes, there's always a one-pager that you always look at about the company or proposal or whatever. So it'll be good to have a nice little one-pager explaining what planthro is, what are the funds we're looking for, and what is the use of funds we're going to do. I mean, some bit of a one-page, nice, neat summary would be nice. So these are two things I think we ought to look into.
Andrea, you're on mute.
No, I'm not. I think we have the one pager, Amit, right? You may need an update, but I think we do have a nice one pager.
So we did. I think it was not fundraising specific user funds and everything. I think because when we talk about user funds, it will also sort of synthesize in our minds what is our strategy going to be, where are we going to put some of the money when it comes in.
Right.
So do you have, Vasavi? I mean, now you've been acquainted with what the anthropocene is. Could you prepare a kind of?
I can have a go at it, and I can circulate.
And then we can populate.
Yeah.
Now this can be like more interactive. Ask whatever you need to, and participation and everything. But to Vasavi's point, one, I posted today on the same document, that agenda document, a link to the one pager. Having done so, I realized that it's outdated, and that this kind of exercise, even our description, not because we are changing our focus every day, but as we evolve, I think every 3 months I describe planthro changes, but it is not written somewhere. And so I think we need to keep like the blurb is the word you use, right? So we need to keep updating the blurb about planthro from time to time, if not 3, at least every 6 months. Something will some folk description will change, some realignment will be needed. We all get to know what we are doing as we do it, so that starts getting reflected. So the one page does exist, but I think yes, but it sorely lacks the user funds and financials. But we can do that, and we must do that, and we should keep updating these descriptions. So it's not enough an answer to say that our website has everything, because it's not updated. It's not still not clear enough. I think for me this has happened, that whatever nicely I write, 6 months later I see too many shortcomings in that. So I think all I'm saying is that this blurb is definitely required. We need to, but more so, we need to keep going, doing another one on top of previous every 6 months. It's not really going to take a lot of time. Regarding this numbers, I am happy to collaborate with Vasavi to create a half pager, 2 paragraphs or whatever it takes to talk about user funds, because there are plenty of people who would be the audience, but we should not lose them in either jargon or lack of a clear description. Andrea?
Yes, I think in one good way, but is time consuming and costly, it would be to have some sort of yearly report, which would be a good way of boiling down and condensating what we've been doing and what we will be doing. But again, is something that I'm not ready to commit on the spot. So, but I think an easy way is you have a report from the year, and then from there you can extract and condensate these shorter messages that can be targeted at different stakeholders. But again, it's something. We could a kind of surrogate could be to put together the newsletters of the year, which is a kind of report. We structure the newsletter in a way that is a kind of quarterly report, and it will be even more so now if we add this extra page with the highlights, the quarterly highlights, and then once a year we can have that published. The full newsletter of the year, with a kind of introduction, and that introduction could become exactly this updated self-description or simplified or I'm always thinking ways of how we can leverage on what we are already doing to get out a new product, basically that fills the gaps that we are identifying.
Yeah. Well, nothing to be ashamed of, but regarding a financial numbers annual report, in an annual report, the numbers been trivial. So that is one reason. All the transactions are logged, and it's very easy to kind of create a sort of a balance sheet or sort of a what do you call annual report reporting. But with 10 transactions on receivables.
Yeah, no, I wasn't thinking only financial, Amit. Also a narrative and financial. Financial would be part of the overall report. But again, I think we
should not get into any commitment of annual and so on. But as a one-time exercise, to have something in center, with Vasavi, I'm happy to collaborate to kind of create a nice little 2-paragraph to 3. And it's a good thing to keep in mind that it should be narrative as well as financial together. And I think the one page we have is not entirely outdated, but it sorely lacks any financial aspects. Right. Yeah, Iti, any thoughts?
I was just in the spirit of recycling stuff that we've already done. So Isha had started putting together this video. Do you guys remember? And everyone had a whole bunch of feedback.
Yeah.
So she hasn't got around to incorporating that, but that's something that she's committed to doing in January.
Right.
So I'm thinking that could be a good supplement if we can really refine that video. That could be a supplement with this one-pager to send around to whoever.
And why not that's a narrative, right? And why not add financial to it? Financial.
Sure. Yeah.
One thing about that, though, sorry, Vasavi, is that Madhura, just a minute. Isha put a great effort into creating this, and the small feedback from us, relatively small. Hey, there's a spelling mistake here, or whatever. This spacing, right? If she could somehow create a more and these days it's possible, right? That collaborative sort of either share the password or do something better, right?
Yes.
So I think we are happy to what she's done. Kickstart is the best, right? And she's done the bulk of it. 60, let's say 70% is done, right?
Yeah.
And I understand you and it's not trivial effort. And then you get 13 points of feedback. You say, okay, I'll do it tomorrow, right? Or next week. Right, so I understand. Mm-hmm. So instead, we are happy that to work further on it, so that the trivial parts are. That's one reason I just don't accept or try to really force Google Docs rather than having attached document. Right, that go there and change it, whatever you don't like. Right.
Yeah.
What's you were saying?
Yeah, remind me, what was the video? It was the doodle one explaining planthro.
No, so this is the one. I'll send it around again.
Yeah, if you could.
She did it a couple of months back. So it was almost like listing out all the accomplishments, all the major milestones, starting from conception. So 2017, we were a registered non-profit, and then development of all the channels that we have, all the platforms that we have, and then towards the end, it was all the metrics and stats. And it's pretty basic right now, but I'm thinking that we have something started already, so might as well leverage that and make it a little bit, refine it a little bit further. But to Amit's point, I'm gonna ask her to put it on a collaborative platform so all of us can chip in, and we can take our times and just polish it and have it be a supplementary artifact along with that blurb that she'll be working on.
Yeah, for sure. The one pager can have links to a video explaining some such achievements and accomplishments by us. Wasn't there another video where I think we paid for it, perhaps for Facebook? There was a doodling video. Am I not thinking this right?
We have a couple of videos on Facebook as well.
Nitin made
but
something.
Those, which we didn't pay anything for it. We Isha
hired somebody to
Isha
do it.
Nitin. No, we didn't.
Nitin.
We were thinking about it, but Isha and Nitin ended up doing it.
I see.
I will send that to you as well. But that's probably like older content. So I'm guessing we could do better now. And we already have something in the works. So, but I'll send you both. So
that'd be great.
Take a look. Yeah.
And add to the narrative some financial numbers. Madhura?
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify that when you keep saying financials, I think Vasavi was mentioning use of funds.
Yeah, I don't know financials. Thank you.
Very clear on that one. Because we are very, I completely agree with Vasavi because Amit, there was some time during COVID when I did spend time on the old investment documents or proposals that we had made. And I also think that, there was a gap in the amount of time and space and that we used to explain about the use of funds. It was always in a little short. Other things were written pretty elaborate, but I think we ourselves, probably she's right that we ourselves were not clear what to do if the funds come our way. So that I think it's, when you say financials, I think it's more of use of funds. That's one. And the second thing is, if the document is for investment, I don't think these videos. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm just judging too early. But it has to be a crisp document. Talking about this, I'm not sure whether that fits.
If I can jump in here, it will be a crisp document, but being a crisp document does not exclude the possibilities of having some good video that explains what we've done. Okay. We can have a link, and it's up to them if they want to click on the link and see or not. But if the video is smartly made, it doesn't hurt at all.
Okay, maybe because.
Good. I think it's coming very clearly. Use of funds as a area, okay. Quickly, Prerna, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think I agree. We have to keep reinventing ourselves with the blog, and it's a good form of storytelling that we could explore. And it also tells the audience that we are evolving ourselves and keeping ourselves updated with the trendy topics. So definitely we should do that. And maybe we could have like a script, when we talk to someone, how do we explain planthro? Like we have that email script that we send out to authors. So I think these 2-liners, 3-liners are very helpful and very catchy also at the same time. So definitely we should work on them.
Right. Prerna, thanks. Masi, any thoughts?
I just want to say that I agree with Vasavi's idea to clarify better in our main page, in our main website, what our goals are, and in a very short paragraph or half page to make sure that we address our goals right, and we in a way that we catch attention from figures that are high profile in the field. I also want to ask Eti if it was possible maybe to ask other than the video, also the script of the video. Maybe I can use that for the article that maybe I want to address to the university. So that would be actually helpful.
I'm sorry. I missed the last.
Then maybe other than the video, there is like the written version of it, so that I can maybe use some of that material for using for the article. Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. So yes, I did write up the script. I will send that to you. It might be a little bit outdated, but sure, I'll share that with you.
Thanks.
Right.
Yeah, I think we used to have some sort of headline on the webpage, and then at some point we decided to go for the
more minimal.
Yeah, for the title only. But I think we can introduce it again, and it can be something that shows only if you swipe. I don't know the technical term. If you go over the title, hover. Yeah, if you hover over the title. So yeah, we can reintroduce that. It shouldn't be very difficult.
Right. Talking further about Corp, we have in this year's donation campaign brought in something, and last year's not even too much expense last year. In all, I'm just talking slightly off the cuff, but not too inaccurate. About $1,000 to disburse. as a compensation to some of the contributors. And if you all agree, then we can make a round of. It has always been token like $250, $200 compensation to the most active contributors of Biblio and outreach mainly so far. So if you agree, then we can make use of these available funds of about $1,000. It could be 1,100 or 900, one, plus minus 100. I just have to check. If you don't agree, maybe you can tell me. Or okay, Masvi agrees. Then an update on Naresh's involvement. He's made it clear that he's not available on. Sorry, any disagreements on the last one? I think I rushed it. Okay. So on Naresh's involvement, he's clarified that he's happy to continue to do the annual paperwork and so on. So it's not very urgent or very critical right this year to make any changes. He's not available on operations or even other involvement is due to his other work. But at the moment, there is no real need to change the address of the company, which is registered at his place, or the treasurer in the bank, which he is. But we can probably, it's just a good exercise that since he's decided to be disengaged, and it is in New York, so not a big change, but maybe over a period of next year we can move the company's address to hers, as well as which will mean all the documents, etc. But and one or two official places where it will have to be changed, and then eventually make not eventually, but somehow make Iti also the treasurer, the signatory, which will mean going to the bank or something. So if we can do that in the coming year, if time allows, if situation allows, I will make a trip to New York, and this can be arranged then.
Sure. Yeah.
Any thoughts? Anybody?
Only tool from my side is looking into the necessary paperwork and maybe start preparing it.
Right. Yeah.
Because this, I imagine, it would be a change in the bylaws, right? Or
not bylaws.
Or in the registration.
Not
in
bylaws.
The registration document.
It's very standard to change the office address. So there is the state level and the Fed level where we'll have to submit a request to change the address, and that's it. Then it is up to us to not communicate on let's say our newsletter a wrong address or something. That's a different matter.
Yeah, no, but I was thinking also in terms. I mean, AT would then take over from Naresh, right?
Yes. Yeah. So yeah.
So that's not just like changing address; it's also changing the organizational structure.
Right, that's true. But still no changes to bylaws, which basically dictate how we change.
I meant.
Yeah, so the reporting the change of official, which is let's say the treasurer, as well as the address. But pretty standard, Andrea. So it just has to be done. Has to be done, and like I'll tell you last. Find the right agency in and their procedure and do it. It won't be too difficult, but this has to be done. It's a good news that for this year is not urgently required.
Okay.
As confirmed by Naresh. Madhura, sorry.
I think if we can add Iti as an additional signatory with immediate effect. However, I feel if it is not an urgent need, we can sort of postpone that because we really don't know. I'll tell you, I have experienced address changes even in very, very large corporations. Sometimes you don't anticipate where you have given that address. Though we are very small and even the time for which we have been around is lower. That's my experience. It's slightly something that we don't anticipate. So if that can wait, I mean, you are a better judge, Amit. But I totally agree that Iti should be added as a additional signatory at her convenience while she's in.
See, regarding signatory, right? We are not using paper checks anymore. Digital.
Yeah, but still.
Right? Yeah. And secondly, I will try that we don't need to change the address. It's not because it's extra work, but like recently, Apollo, Iti's employer, agreed to give us $250. but how, nobody knows. So most likely they're going to look up the database and post us a check, right? So you're right. Sometimes it's like closing a bank account from where you make many transactions, some auto debits and auto credits even, right? And you don't even remember, and you know that the payments are going to inward as well as outward going to get rejected if you close a bank account. So yeah, I will try to see, but let's for now we are in good thing, and I'll not, let's say, create unnecessary work, but let's create do the stay up to date with things. Yeah, so not,
Yeah.
let's say, not necessarily I'll change the address if Naresh is billing all throughout.
Yeah. Also, I'm saying that I know that we don't use paper checks, but even the fund transfer can be done only by the signatory, right? So it's always, I mean, whether Naresh, I mean, it's always good to have another signatory because sometimes people are not available. And not that we have too many transactions happening. From that point of view, was what I was saying.
Right. I mean, the bank account does allow for a what do you call it, multiple user sort of thing, which effectively is a digital additional signatory. Surprisingly, it does not take too much to add another signatory. Right, but yeah, okay, we will take this up. Nothing urgent. Prerna, anything in this regard? Or okay, or if not, Masi, anything?
No. I mean,
Okay, thank you. Um, with this, I have two suggestions to make, two proposals to make. Last year, we spoke about not focusing on what we have so that we don't spread too thin in terms of our bandwidth, and not talk about exchange, planthro exchange and planthro events as our products as of now. So this year, my proposal is to actually, with some regret in my mind, remove them from the descriptions and the website for now. Just shelve them like we have the projects, but also their icons and their names, and because we are not doing them, and they can very well come back at opportunity. Removing is always one step, like just from the are there any thoughts on this, Madhura?
No, I totally agree. The website should be relevant. We can't have something very much out into the future reflecting there, because I think it's a good idea to right now take off the icons.
Andrea, you're on mute.
I agree. Definitely, we can. I mean, it's still fastidious when you try to click on something and nothing opens.
Right.
So.
And like I said, they can be brought back when we are ready. But Masi,
Exactly.
Any thoughts?
yeah, I think usability requires that everything should work.
Right. Any other thoughts by anyone? Can raise hand. Iti?
So I think just one thing, yes, it's good to remove these icons, which everyone agrees with, but also for the analytics piece, since we want to keep that on the website, I don't know if we are making a decision on that as well. But if it's there on the website, maybe do something like you've done with opinions, and there's a page that opens, and then it says something like first article yet to be posted.
Right.
So analytics should also say something like coming shortly or whatever.
Yeah, or better. We can do better than coming shortly. So regarding this, I am confident that opinion will be launched in 2021 with some good things happening there. And for analytics, I think I want to do something. So would not right now be willing to shelve it, but with opinions and exchange, is a different matter. So like I said to Iti, we can do better than just coming shortly on analytics. So let's keep it there. So Prerna, if you have any last thoughts on this.
I think I agree with doing away with what we are not actually implementing and just keeping analytics there. I just wanted to say I have to rush. I had a prior engagement, so I might have to take leave
Right.
earlier than expected.
No,
So,
it's understandable. Yeah. We are nearly the
yeah.
end. Just have to close a few more things. But let me see if there is anything more. What- one third of the directors must be rotated, and which means that uh, we need people who have been there for 2 years must be replaced with those uh, who were not there in 2020. So I will just look up the names. I'm sorry, because I had opened a tab, but it's lost on me. Prerna, give me some time. Right. So people who have been directors for 2 years in a row need to be rotated, and not be the director for 1 year, and they are Iti and Amit Batras.
No, I don't think that you're right, Amit. Iti
No,
hasn't
actually,
been.
Iti has
No,
been director for 3 years.
no, there's something wrong. Are you sure?
Yeah, I mean, I have my record which I can share my screen for, or it's on
No.
the corporate dashboard.
Okay, I thought Iti was. Maybe I'm wrong.
So
Do you remember?
anyhow, for for this year, like we would like to invite
Yeah, you're right.
Vasavi
Yeah,
and
Iti,
Prerna,
yeah.
To be the directors. I mean, from this group, we have two people available. Of who, if we are willing, we can have a set of 5 directors.
So what does that mean? How many do we have currently?
We always have 5 these days,
Five, right?
right? We always keep 5, and we rotate
The
one third.
requirement is 3, but we are having 5.
Yeah, minimum requirement is 3. We have 5
Right.
directors, and we rotate after a 2-year term. We rotate people out, one third of them, which means 2 in our case, which means if 2 have to go out, 2 have to come in as well. And Vasavi and Prerna has never been a director, and Vasavi hasn't been a director last year. So if they are willing, then we can fulfill this internally.
Sure.
Okay. And
Yeah,
Prerna?
I'm good.
Masi, maybe you can tell us about your concerns of and how they were quelled last year about being director. Did you? I must tell you. I must say that there's a legal responsibility of being a director. In terms of activity, we try to keep it efficient, or more like very efficient, so that it doesn't take too much. And we try to do everything in a transparent way, so that all feedback is incorporated, as well as all actions are known to executive group. But Masi, any thoughts?
No particular. I mean, I wasn't very much involved last year either, so it's not. I think being a director particularly means much more work than just contributing, as we all try to do anyway.
Right. Well, anyhow, if there are any concerns by anybody, I mean, to this proposal, Madhura, I think.
No concerns. Just a question. I'm just connecting the dots. When Naresh stepped down as a director, who did we replace him by? Just for my records, I'm not able to get all the links in place in my mind.
We brought Madhura.
I was wondering because I recollected Iti's date now when she had joined.
Right.
So, okay, ठीक है.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's a famous joke about people keep forgetting to count themselves. Right?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Right. Okay. Right. So that's good. It is dropped off, I think, temporarily. Okay, Prerna, if that's it, then I just want to talk about corporate styling proposal, if you have time. This is basically our current styling is. Why is my page stuck? See, you know how planthro standard is written. It's open sans light in a certain color, bluish green color. It is with a hashtag. It's small letters. It's italics. It's too much formatting, and sometimes on some platforms not even possible, like to do all that. Like for example, on WhatsApp, if you're writing, you now may be able to do it, but it's extra effort. As a result, many people leave it aside when they're quickly talking about it. Anyhow, people find it difficult, and it's over formatting. So my proposal is that we keep everything except italics and the initial hashtag. So planthro is small letters, standard font, standard color. That's it. That's and small case. PLANTHRO. No hashtag and no italics.
Yeah, I think that's perfect.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Makes it easier.
Yes.
And it's in the same line as the rest of platform anthropocene that we write, except it's small case. Andrea?
Yes. Should we plan a restyle at some point?
Yeah.
Restyling, or I'm not. I mean, it's not mandatory. Just asking, what is your feeling that our look is a bit outdated? We are up to date. We should.
Actually, I have found that we are not. We're still trendy, but we were over formatted when it especially came to the smaller name planthro. I'm open to restyling, but this time I would be very careful, very adamant on keeping it simple rather than. And I think I did it myself. I admit to the mistake of the italics, of the hashtag, of the small letters, of the colors of the font, right? So if it has to be a two-step procedure, at least I would. If it has to be two-step, then at least I would ask right now to this to be hashtag and the italics to be removed. And I'm open to suggestions of restyling completely.
I think we can upload the proposal and welcome all suggestions, and maybe have a series of suggestions for everyone to look into, and with the main idea that keeping it simple.
Andrea, since this came from you, now in the coming year, whenever you would really feel up to it, share a proposal or the need even to, maybe with the Christo's help, if you want, to kind of propose a new styling. And I hear that for now you are okay to remove the hashtag and italics. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
No, it was a question. I mean, it's whether you have this feeling. I mean, it's a bit the same since we've been talking about the description of planthro. I mean, the other side of the description is how we present ourselves visually. Yeah. So just if we should include that in the discussion, or I understand it's a major change, so it's just. Well, I'm fine. I mean, I'm fine with what we have. It's just sounding.
Well, to be honest, like I said, I find it to be trendy, and there is a font website by Google. I think it's called Google Fonts, and it allows for comparison of different fonts, even combination of two. And it has a section called trendy fonts, and Open Sans Light is still among the newer ones. So I find the choice is pretty nice, to be honest. But I'm very much open to the restyling. It's been 3 years. I think 3 years is a good enough time. We should not change every 6 months, sure. But this time I will be very careful to keep it simple. Keep it simple rather than have many steps in order to achieve it.
Okay.
Madhura, any thoughts?
So if you're changing it, then we'll as well apply mind if it's I don't know how important it is, because this is a short name, right? I mean, in the sense, does it have an implication if now you, like, all of a sudden you've changed it? So does it have any? One is legal. One, some other thing is by recognition. Is there any where people will not recognize it, or they will suddenly find it is looking different? Both these considerations, I don't know. I will not be able to speak much about this. So if we are then anyway changing it, then we might as well do that effort of seeing whether it's right, it is the right one, because then we'll keep it for another 3 years, right?
You mean the entire restyling?
No. The short name. I'm assuming the long name is remaining the same, right?
Yeah.
We have concerns with the short name, right?
No, not the word, but the styling. Yes.
Correct.
Right. Yeah. So I'm not saying that 3 year is like some sort of a rule, but I'm saying changing it every 6 months is not a good idea. But at the moment, I'm not hopefully digressing too much from it. So recognition, of course, it just looks a little bit like lighter to me. It's on the document, by the way. I made a comparison of the earlier and newer, the paperwork, the agenda document. But yes, some change. Some people who are closely watching will notice the change, but maybe hopefully as a pleasant and simple one. Many people have asked me what is this hashtag. Thailand, who was involved on Biblio, said this looks like some error, right? There is this friend of mine in Luxembourg, and he said, "Why so many hashtags?" And there was only one, but he said, "Why so many hashtags?" In the sense that it was perceived as like something now I have to deal with, some extra work, some technology there, some I don't know, something that is not just to be read, but read upon between lines or something, so
yeah, I am that audience.
But I think hashtag is a part of a brand identity. So I think we can keep it because we use it on all Twitter posts, and I'm sure it's getting used widely across other social media platforms.
But think about it, Prerna.
I think using it while a Twitter post or to emphasize it is okay, but just as a brand, I think we should simplify it, exactly. Keep it simple and no hashtag and no
So, to Prerna's point, if we actually look at it, we should be using 2 hashtags on Twitter right now, which is rubbish basically. So that's why I'm saying that planthro itself is, and by the way, if you look on planthro, there are not too many dictionary words or like planthro. So it's quite a unique choice of a brand, planthro. But so hashtag planthro makes sense on place where hashtag is expected, but like Twitter, but having in it the name itself is
I agree on that, actually.
Right.
Yeah, for someone who doesn't like Twitter, I hate the hashtag.
Yeah, so at least people have a choice to do away with it on places where it doesn't belong, And,
I actually like the font very much, and I would capitalize though, and that's my point. That it's, to me, it just gives it more relevance. And another thing, I noticed that we don't have it actually on our main page. On our website, it doesn't even show, and maybe it can be discreetly introduced there. Yeah. I mean, I know there is anthropocene, but I don't remember if there was any choice behind that.
No, I think this has to be fixed. The theory was, and it was right in the beginning when we had a legal name and planthro came later, is that the first time platform anthropocene is introduced as planthro, henceforth it is planthro. It's like in a contract document, Massimiliano henceforth Massi, right? So and that and so on and so forth. So, but I think that web page needs some attention. But I would not capitalize it, Massi, because of 2 reasons. One, again, it's over formatting. Like people write it in running text on their cell phones, and they miss all of it, right? So let that be it. And secondly, our main projects like Biblio, Wiki are in capital. So I think it's like a sort of nice combination. And to some extent, we want to give more emphasis on the projects rather than the organization. So I would tend to propose small, all small. And to be honest, if I just use a capital P and rest of as small, it looks like weird because it's not a dictionary sentence, a dictionary word.
Yeah, I think maybe maybe one way. I don't know if it's perceived as over formatting, but maybe because it will merge completely into the text, maybe we can keep it of the corporate color throughout.
Yeah.
So that turquoise green.
Yeah.
So we could have it very simple, like all the rest of the text, but in our corporate color.
Yeah.
So that
that is still my proposal. I'm not removing the color in my proposal.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Yeah.
Iti, any thoughts? It will mean a lot of work for outreach, by the way. By lot of means, don't change it in retrospect. But this point onward, you'll have to be careful. I mean, it'll be simpler, but you'll have to be careful. Iti? Sorry, you're not audible, Iti.
She may not be there. I think, I think she's not there.
Right. No, it'll be good to know from her because it just gets posted so many times on outreach.
Oh, she's back.
Okay. Iti, your thoughts, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I don't know what happened. So yes, I think that makes sense, and it's not gonna impact the outreach stuff that much, like in retrospectively, because the whole confusion with technically we should be hashtag planthro, and we've just been using hashtag planthro. It kind of works for us.
Okay.
So I think we're good. But I think it's all over the corporate website, right? Like we introduced platform Anthropocene, but then if you scroll down a little bit, we have all these blurbs on the projects, and it has hashtag planthro, so that will need rehauling.
Right. So existing documents will be changed as much as possible immediately, and then progressively also. But yes, obviously there is no need to go back to retrospective posts and everything. But this point onward, the outreach team will have to be a bit careful, consistent and careful. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, and this has to be communicated.
Maybe the change in the historical documents can be done on a database level.
We don't have it can be, but we don't have the means. Most of the historical documents are as standalone Google Docs.
Okay, right.
Even some of them are published, like some of them are pushed as web pages, but they're actually Google Docs. So it'll have to be done one by one, or one document at a time, at least from the search.
Not feasible now. Yeah.
Okay. That's it from my side. Andrea has proposed a discussion on strategy in 2021 in relation to the new US administration. So I'll let him take the lead. And I would just like to say that I'll proceed with the visibility to everybody, the essential filings. My points, the rest of the agenda is covered, so Andrea can discuss this with his lead and close the meeting.
Thank you. I haven't given much thought to it apart from suggesting it on the agenda as a line. I thought it was, because we are based in the US, because I think we made it through the Trump administration. I think it's quite refreshing that we have, a new president in the US. He's been engaged heavily since the 70s. I mean, it's been one of the three pillars of his political action since his beginning as the youngest member of the Senate in the US back in the 70s, and he's still confirming with his election that environmental issues will be on the top of the agenda as one of the three pillars of his action. He has already engaged into coming back into the Paris Agreement of 2015 last week, I think. So I'm not saying we should reach out to the U.S. president or anything, but I think there is definitely a change in wind there, fresh breeze coming in. So maybe we should try to refocus a bit more on fundraising within the U.S. If possible. I don't know. I mean, the link I posted there on the chat is the network of super wealthy people. Many of them are, of course, based in the US. Many of them have initiatives, funding initiatives for environmental climate issues. Again, I mean, is a huge workload. But I think as a deed for 2021, maybe we could be looking a bit more into how we can move within the US philanthropic ecosystem to get more visibility there and try to attract some funds. I think it's still a bit of it's still our weak point. I think one of our weak points that we are. I'm still hoping that at some point we pick up and people will run to give us to help us economically. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? If any.
Yeah. Now, my thoughts are that yes, it may not impact us immediately in a big way, but the trends are have improved from and there is it percolates down to everyday parlance as well as the mood of the societies, right? So yes, I think we can be more hopeful than before. We must focus on finances, and US, is is the center of the focus. Yes.
I think we've been discussing this throughout the meeting. Actually, Vasavi mentioned hopefully in 2021 with the vaccine, the light will go away from the pandemics, and I think one of the topics that are going to come back in frequency is going to be climate change. So I think we need to, just be ready. And one good way to be ready is to have ready to use communication material like the short summary that Vasavi was mentioning, the short videos that AT has been working on. So I think just getting ready first semester maybe to prepare, give ourselves a deadline to the end of the first semester, second quarter, to have all these materials ready, with an outlook into the second semester of 2021, possibly as an opening with some opportunities for fundraising within the US. I mean, not limited to that, but I think as a top of the list target.
Right.
Also because we are registering in the US, which is I think a good thing. I can tell you there are 200,000 foundations in the world. 87,000 are in the US. We are one of them. I think we should be proud of that. I think it's already having made it to entering this constellation of NGOs and charities is a good result, and I think we can aim at capitalizing on that.
Certainly. Right. Any last thoughts, anyone? With which I will ask Andrea to close the meeting. Vasavi, any last thoughts?
Just one thing. In addition to the one page, we just wanted to confirm a blurb about what platform Anthropocene is about. Just so when you're talking, I don't know about you, but I find I'm always looking for easy words to describe what we do. And it would be nice to have something standard so I can just, you can rattle it out when you're talking to people,
right,
instead of having to think about it.
Right. No, this is quite clear that we need to simplify.
One way is to do it top down. So, a couple of us can come together and start from a draft and then circulate the draft. The other way is to have a more of a bottom-up approach, if you prefer, and maybe organize a meeting dedicated to, finding out among ourselves what each of us think planthro is or should be, and build a document starting from there. I don't know. Either way works. I mean, first one is maybe faster. So we can work out. I mean, we can start with the document template and then have a discussion on the document and make changes. So integrating the two approaches.
Iti, any last thoughts?
This is probably trivial, but just something that my firm is working on. So we are building this charitable foundation for Apollo. And one of the things that they're trying to implement is anyone who's volunteering for a recognized nonprofit, which we are, they can actually put in the hours that they spend, like log the hours in a system that they're trying to build out, and then the nonprofit is going to be compensated for that. So I'll find out more details on that, but I'll start doing that. I'll start logging my hours or the amount of time that I spend working on plant-related activities. But I think they also ask for someone probably on the board of directors to approve that time. I don't know how diligent they're going to be about that, but that's maybe something that'll come up in the next couple of months, and I'll just reach out and maybe one of you can vouch for that I spent X amount of hours, and then I think that'll be something good. Like we can get some funds out of it. It's going to be minuscule, but if you guys have something like that in your corporations as well, do ask, because most of the corporations do this. It's pretty standard, and I'm learning it only now because like Apollo is like super behind on all this, and we're trying to implement a philanthropy program right now. But most organizations do this, so just ask around and see if we can get engaged and get on the map there.
And this is only for employees, of course.
Yes.
They wouldn't take the whole team on board.
And do you know on what basis they compensate the employees' hours?
So I don't know what the dollar amount is. It's still in the works, but this is something that they're working to roll out next year, early next year.
Nice.
So if I had to guess, it'll at least be like, I would say $30 to $50 an hour or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'll just be organized about it and make sure like I log everything. But I'll reach out to one of you to approve that if at all my company reaches out. But we can get that started for sure.
Great.
Yeah.
So
that's why United States is a great place to be. Yeah, no, these initiatives, a lot of these innovative initiatives, come from there. Prerna, I suppose, had to leave. Massimiliano, any last thoughts?
No, I think this is the initiative maybe comes under the big the umbrella of all those kind of initiatives that big companies have in order to show they're environmentally concerned. And for the same reason, I try to contact, as some of you know, to contact one of my old friends from back from college in England about who was working for an oil company, who in fact has this kind of need to be looked under in a better light. Unfortunately, I contacted him in a bad economical situation, so he was not working for the company anymore. But I think that's one of those ways, one of the ways we can try to pursue our need to find more funding, to try to find companies, maybe friends of friends, who are interested in showing a better side of them for themselves.
Right.
So I will try again, maybe some luck,
Yes.
some better luck in the future.
Yeah, fundraising is not an easy task.
No, I always feel bad asking, but of course, sometimes you need to be a little more cynical, and you're doing for the good reason.
Another way is that we make it a foundation instead of a charity. We all contribute a certain amount, and then it becomes a different kind of organization. But
Well, several times since we started, I have come so close to saying, okay, I am funding this, and but I have always stopped short to say that I mean, this is an idea we are floating to the world, and they have to appreciate, like you said,
Sure.
self-celebratory, right? I mean, posting your own articles, right? In the same spirit, I have just stopped short, and I've held back. I'm not. I'm saying it like in a slightly light sense, that a little bit of frustration that okay, let's get it done. We need $1,000. Let's spend it. But I have always resisted because I don't want it to. In a way, if somebody donates, there is an endorsement. There is also a feedback. There is always a that it's a confirmation that we are in right direction. So I would like to continue to build that.
And also it would be too easy, Amit. No fun.
No fun, exactly. And to be honest, I also think like what, and maybe I can disclose. The first time I reached out to Madhura, I maybe reached out for some funds, right? And suppose she had given those $50, $100, and not worked for planthro. So I think what we have created here is a great value. Actually, doing things on our own hands with very talented people, and creating an organization. So I think we've already put in hundreds and, for that matter, thousands of dollars into this with our own contribution.
Yeah, I think, and I mean, one thing I'm very pleased. I mean, I conveyed it before. I mean, I'm very pleased of how far we got. We went from the original idea, from the DIY in the virtual garage. So I think we are, an existing organization, a structure, a legal entity. I'm happy for that. I think we should maybe cash in more on the composition of people on the screen now and other people gravitating around planthro. I think it's quite original that there are so many people. So it's not a typical American foundation. I think it's the composition. There is a lot of people from India. As an example, I mean, more than half the people. I think this is. I don't know the situation of foundations in India. I don't know. Maybe some of you has more insight in there. But is there some scope to create something or have a second headquarter in India, for example? Would that be something driving? The fact of focusing, rather than focusing on the the typical Western countries, focus more on India, China. I'm thinking of South America, Latin America. Is there some scope, do you think, in targeting?
Well, that's been happening. I mean, but don't remember that even though India, right? It is in New York, Vasavi is in London, and I'm in Luxembourg. So there's a right.
But your network is
yeah. So in a way, hopefully with I'm keeping in mind that Madhura still has to. We're leaving her out. We need her comment, but I'm saying like in opinions leader, if we have Om Prakash Singh next year, his name is coming out. Maybe it will happen. Maybe it will not. But he's like properly grounded in India in this kind of work, right?
Yeah.
You remember we spoke about one Mr. Daniel Noorani. We tried to bring him in. He's based in Pakistan, right? So and Vito Hernandez, who's based in Australia and Philippines. So I think that's always been a tendency in this.
Well, I think giving a voice to, because it's not the kind of countries or professionals or expertise that you hear the most on the headlines. So I think it could be an added value if we could bring more visibility across the spectrum of economies and countries that are involved in the human environment interaction, climate change, sustainability discourse. So I don't know. I think we would have an extra point there because of our own composition, because of the focus we've been keeping. So just to keep that in mind, I think it's it contributes to the originality of planthro, I think, compared to other.
I will ask Madhura not only for her last thoughts, but also close the meeting with. with final words.
Because I'm not able to close it, you mean?
No, I mean because you've already.
No, you're right. I'm not the right person to close the meeting.
No, I just want to make another point. I'm sorry, Amit. Andrea, I just want to share a small experience. I'll take 30 seconds. That see, India is not that evolved in terms of this idea. So getting the funds may be difficult because Amit just knows. I mean, Amit knows partly, and I have pestered him for a donation. I also ran for I sort of helped one of my friends to raise donations, but because the issues that generally get more attention are like the one that I was trying to get some funding for education of socially backward class in the pandemic scenario when their parents couldn't afford the tuition fees and all that. So those are more accepted areas where funding can happen. But you're right, the impact of the climate change is going to be the highest in countries which have lesser economic resources. So that way, probably one can get more opinions or more ideas.
Yeah, it's also about giving voice to rather than looking for funding there, but more as a target rather than a source of funding.
I think would be okay to stay as an American organization at the moment, with not getting into headquarter because, or let's say, for me, for one, I hear some news, but I am not up to the mark with the requirements and everything in India, doing business in India, and especially non-profit. So, but that said, I think we'll continue to have a diversity of point of view because of the unique composition, and we'll try to kind of keep diversity into the picture. Recently, I came across a new platform called Telegram, which
it's not new, Amit.
It's not new.
Sorry.
Okay, I stumbled upon Telegram and became a recent subscriber, and figured out that a large group of people. I think WhatsApp allows for a 256 people group, right? So what do you do with the MBA class, which is 500? So I found that INSEAD, that's my wife's MBA school, where I am also kind of a little bit hands-on with the community and alumni associations. They have all moved to there, and there used to be a climate group, climate and business group there. So I became a part member of it. So I think these can be avenues where we can invite diversity, and they're virtually like people from all countries, all there. Like 5 batches of INSEAD would a business school would mean all countries.
Yeah, this is actually one of the arguments, one of the in the paper that has just come out on the Anthropocene. So it's really the Anthropocene as an opportunity to give voice to unearthed people and in general, or that have been kept out as secondary across disciplines, across genders, across nationalities, cultures. So. Right. I think we are in line with that. So maybe to close from my side, it's been a very loaded year here. So I'm finishing really very tired this year. We had a lot of work on the other organization I'm been working for. So I apologize. I've been really a bit absent from planthro, from the front here, but I'm really glad. Honestly, I'm very, very proud of what we've achieved. Thanks to all. Well, I hope 2021 will be a bit lighter, and then we can move forward a bit faster.
Right.
And I wish you all. You don't have Christmas, right? Oh, you're all taking time off for Christmas. And New Year.
Yes.
So, stay safe, enjoy your family, friends as much as you can.
Right. Well, thank you. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye. Take care.
Yeah. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.